What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new up in this place, my name is Ntwanie, and if you're joining us again, thank you so much for coming back. Yeah, man. So today's video is inspired by most of your questions that you guys have raised up to me. So I posted a community post on my channel, said please drop down any questions that you would like me to address, or maybe like video titles that you'd want me to do, right? And I've looked at it. It doesn't have a lot of comments, but most of the questions, they were about what are the opportunities that are there for newly qualified CAs. So when you go out into your workspace after you've completed your training, what are some of the jobs or positions that you can occupy? Also, there were a few questions about training in public practice and out of public practice. So I am working on a video that will talk about training out of public practice, so things like banking, for instance. So that is definitely also coming up. But for today, I want to address the issue about where can you go, or what kind of jobs can you do when you're now a newly qualified CA. Just a disclaimer, the list is not exhaustive, and this list is not originally my own. This is an article that was written by Clive Kaplan, who is the CEO of Green Minds Capital, which is basically he basically does career coaching, especially for CAs. So a lot of the stuff, or many things that I want to talk about in this video, are basically coming up from that article. So all credit goes to Clive. I'm just sort of relaying the message to you guys. I think it's a very good article. That's why I'm relaying the message to you. I don't think I have anything more to add. If I found out any more other opportunities that are out there, I will definitely share with you guys. But as you know, I'm still in second year, so I haven't really thought about that as yet. I am getting into, starting to think about, oh my god, what I'm going to do next year when my contract ends. But that will be shared with you as and when it happens. So what are some of the things that you can do with your CSA qualification after you're done? So Clive has this article that is titled, I'm a newly qualified CASA, but what do I do with my life, right? And then he talks about 7 broad categories. I'm just going to be reading them out of my phone. He talks about you can go into consulting, which is also auditing or tax. You can go into financial management. You can do operational management. You can do banking. You can also do investments or fund management type of work. There's also internal audit, and lastly, entrepreneurship, right? So just to go a little bit deeper on each one of them, I will just highlight some of the things that are contained in each one of these. So the first one is consulting, audit, and tax. So in this, he says basically, if you're doing your training in an audit firm, this will be basically a continuation of your auditing career. You will most likely work in like the Big Four space. And even if you don't necessarily work in a Big Four space with consulting, audit, and tax, let's say you work for a consulting company, the auditing firms will most probably be your competitors, because you'll be competing for clients in that manner. A career in this space is very predictable. So obviously you go from, for instance, an audit, you'll go from an audit manager, you will become a senior manager, you will probably become an AD, which is an associate director, and then you will end up being partner, basically. So that's the predictability of how you're going to move in that space. And then he talks about deadlines and stress. Basically, this is one of the cons of this career, obviously, is that you will be knocking off mostly at 3 a.m. So overtime and all those night shifts never really go away. And then he says the ultimate level here, it will be to, when you've now gone on to partner, would obviously be to find clients for your company or your firm. Another pro on this thing is obviously your clients could ask you to come over to their company and probably be CEO there. So yeah, That's basically what your career would look like if you were to go into auditing, into tax, or into consulting. So the next part is the financial manager route that you can follow. And he says this is the most popular and sought after CA role. So basically, a lot of companies will be looking for a financial manager, or in contrast, a lot of newly qualified CAs will be looking to get into a financial manager role. And then he talks about the fact that having a big company experience is advisable. So if maybe in your training you've worked with a big company, that would be an advantage to you. Alternatively, he also says that there's a lot of training that goes on into being a financial manager. So the company would train you on the job as you go and complete your duties. Basic functions of a financial manager will basically to do monthly accounts for that company, your budgets, your variances, your ledgers, your tax, your VAT. You'll also be dealing with external auditors. So remember, when we as our trainees go on to a client, we mainly deal with the financial manager of the client. So you will be that person who is now dealing with the auditors. I don't know how exciting that is, but I don't think I want to be in that role, knowing how auditors are. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, he says this is the most advantageous place basically to be in, because you learn the company from the bottom up. Remember, if you're a financial manager, you're involved in basically every aspect of the business. So yeah, basically. And then he recommends that you get a lot of coaching for this role, because it does involve a lot of responsibilities and activities. The next part is the operational manager. So remember, the previous one was a financial manager. There's an operational manager. And how this differs from the last one is that here you deal with special projects. So things like assessing new strategies, or reviewing contracts that the company has, or maybe doing due diligences. If, say, for example, your company is looking to merge with another company, the operational manager is the one who would go on and do like a due diligence. And yeah, so you deal with forecasts, you deal with financing the company, income tax opportunities basically. And yeah, so you basically work on developing strategies, building connections for your company. But while this is most beneficial to the company, can also be beneficial to you as a person, because the connections or the relationships you build with the clients could ultimately help you in the future. So basically, that's an operational manager. You deal with the operations of the company. Next a path that you could possibly take is banking, and I think this is one that is very popular amongst CA trainees before they qualify. Banking is very popular. Even in audit firms, everyone talks about banking, everyone talks about moving into banking. So but what exactly does this entail? And I think this will also be unraveled more in my future videos and the future content that I'm planning for you. But just in a nutshell, right? Clive basically says banking is broad, and it ranges from investment banking to business development to credit assessment to forex and treasury. So within a bank, you could work in any of the bank's divisions. You could work with treasury, you could work with investment banking. I think investment banking is mostly what a lot of people go into. But he also says that once you're in banking, you're usually stuck because you become a career banking person. So basically, there is not much room to move into other fields once you get into banking, because all you will have skill for is basically the banking industry. And I think this resonates with a trainee who does their articles in a bank, that they're basically exposed to the banking industry and what happens there, and not necessarily very adjustable to other departments. So basically, you can't take a banking trainee or somebody who qualified at a bank to go be an audit manager, because they've never audited in their lives. But you can take somebody who has an audit background into banking, because they can learn into it. So yeah. um the next thing he says is that in the banking space there's a lot of people to compete with. Obviously in banking, I think they work with clients, so the more you can deliver to a client, basically the higher up you can get. So basically there's a lot of competition. I'm not very knowledgeable about it, but I think the next few videos will unravel. So yeah, he also goes on to say that it's either you love it or you hate it. It's either banking is your thing or it's not. And then he also says that there is not much of management involvement and experience in there. So basically you need to build these relationships as you go, but you do have an opportunity to network with quite a lot of people. The next route that you can take is being an investment fund manager. So basically he says this is the new breed of professionals. This like the new kid in town kind of discipline. You can like manage a fund. So maybe, you know, with those finance companies like your Old Mutuals, your Allen Grays, where you can invest in a fund or in a unit trust or whatever like that. So you become the manager to that fund. So if it's an equity fund or if it's a bond or whatever, you manage that fund. So basically this is what this is about. And then he says this is very popular with the CFA guys. So if you really want to get into the investment fund management route, you will probably be most advantageous if you did your CFA qualification, which is the Chartered Financial Analyst. So yeah, he says that it's a very highly specialized field and management experience is basically limited. So basically you won't have experience to be a manager, in the sense that you're not managing people, you're managing basically a fund. And then the next route that you can go into is basically internal audit. With internal audit, he says it's not particularly favored by CAs. I don't know why. I also don't have like a natural attraction to internal audit, honestly, because internal audit deals with basically the processes of a company. You go in there, you see what controls they have, you see you know how more you can add value basically. He says it's considered to be technically uninspiring. I do not disagree. I think actually, you know, but for me personally, I'm also not drawn to internal auditing. But also I think internal audit will change a lot, especially with 4IR. Remember, if you can be somebody who brings value through technology and through enhancing a company's businesses processes, then basically internal audit could take a different route basically. So yeah, and then the last part that he talks about is entrepreneurship. So as a CA, I think I've mentioned this in my last video as well. As a CA, you can be an entrepreneur. He says that this I quote, right? These are his words, and I quote, "This is not for sissies," right? He says, "Be prepared for a bumpy ride." So basically, we all know that entrepreneurship is not pop and flays. It is not easy. It is not for people who give up easily. So basically, yeah, as a CA, you can go into it, especially if you have the courage, the energy, and you don't have a lot of responsibilities, because a lot could go wrong in entrepreneurship, and you don't want to be, you know, stuck there with a lot of responsibilities that you can't service when your business doesn't take off the ground, type of thing. So yeah, he says the pros about this is that you become your own boss, so you decide what your working hours are. And he also says the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is working with yourself. So maybe look into that as well. Yeah, the one other thing is that no one will ever retrench you, and you always have the last say in your business. So just to conclude on this video, he says that he usually advises his clients to take the financial management role, right? Because it gives the best grounding and the best management experience. So remember, with the financial management role, that's where you deal with external auditors. You manage a team of people, which will mainly be the finance department. You report to the CFO, who then reports to the CEO. So just to recap all of those routes, we said you can go either into consulting, auditing, and tax. That's number one. Number two, you can go into financial management. Number three, you can do operational management. Number four, you can go into banking. Five, investment or fund management. And then six, internal audit. And lastly, you can go into entrepreneurship. See, those are the routes that you can follow. As a newly qualified CA, I don't think the list is exhaustive. I think, living in this day and age, there's probably a profession or a route that's being invented as we speak. But yeah, man, that's for you to decide where you want to go. For me personally, I don't know yet. I haven't gotten to that stage where I have to decide now. So I'm still, thinking about it and thinking about what my options are. But yeah, that's what you can do as a newly qualified CA, or those are the routes that you can maybe look into if you want to start thinking about it at this point. I think it could really help. So I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I hope you got a little bit more of information about what you can do with your CASA designation. I hope you have subscribed, and please like this video if you did enjoy it. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.